gleaming skyscrapers, busy, noisy streets filled with shiny cars, people talking on cell phones as they walk to work. China is changing. The economy here is growing faster than any other nation on Earth.
One of the reasons that the Chinese economy will continue to grow is, according to the World Bank numbers, about 48% of the Chinese population is still living on less than $2 per day. So yes, all the hype about the economic growth rates in China is true, but it's all in the coastal provinces.
And central Illinois has a hand in that economic development. Illinois ranks 5th among U.S. states trading with China.
Politically, I should say, both China, we benefit from the continuously improved relationship between Beijing and Washington, and between the trade relationship between Chicago and Shanghai. That enhance the ties, give us the chance, really to promote trade and investment. And then that paves the way for Illinois companies to come here smoothly and quickly. And that's one thing politically, it's more opening.
It's that opening that 10 University of Illinois students attempted to document. Under the guidance of journalism professor Nancy Benson, they spent the semester studying China and researching topics. Then they traveled to China as foreign correspondents to report their stories. They found the process of reporting to be slow.
It wasn't that much different, other than just you had to allow yourself a lot more time and be flexible and realize that something that would take a day or a few hours in the United States would maybe take 2 or 3 days or several hours in China.
Make no mistake, there is still plenty of the old China to see. In Shanghai, where the centuries-old Jing'an Temple attracts thousands who want to honor Buddha or toss coins into the pagoda. And here at Zhujiazhou, just outside of Shanghai, you can take peaceful rides along a canal. But in this tranquil village and in the growing city of Suzhou nearby, you can't escape the view of a changing China. A modern skyline looms on the horizon. Robert Thompson, the former director of agriculture at the World Bank, is now a University of Illinois professor. He says if you don't know anything about China, you better start studying.
They absolutely need to understand that China is the greatest growth market for everything that moves in world trade. And whereas Illinois is a major agricultural exporting state, we also export an awful lot of other products. And about 1.3 billion people with the most rapidly growing middle class in the world, China is really a major growth opportunity, and anybody that ignores the potential of that market is missing out on something that's really potentially important.
Beijing is hosting the Olympics in the summer of 2008. Beijing has a lot to teach cities like Chicago about how to prepare to host the international games.
If Chicago wants to obtain a bid, they really need to take a lesson from Beijing in what they're doing to prepare public transportation-wise, because I know that's one of the big issues in Chicago. You're not going to have enough ways to get people to and from the lakefront to what they really want to see, and Beijing's really taking action.
Olympic athletes in China will battle more than each other. They'll be in one of the world's most polluted cities. Air pollution in Beijing is one of the overt signs of a more prosperous China. But the U of I reporters see signs to be optimistic.
I think there is a real commitment that the Chinese government has made, and that lots of international organizations that are based in China have made a commitment to cleaning up the air, cleaning up the environment. And it may not happen in 5 years or 10 years, but this is really a priority for the Chinese government and for the Chinese people, and I think down the road we will see some big improvements.
You can spot many signs of the West in China, too. McDonald's and Burger King are popular in the big cities. And the number of Illinois companies operating here is climbing, too, triple what it was 5 years ago. Massive construction projects present great opportunity for companies like Peoria-based Caterpillar. Agriculture is also a great link between China and Illinois. The state exports more soybeans to China than any other U.S. state. China has 750 million farmers, but many still work in their fields like they did 100 years ago. Illinois reporters saw that there is much poverty in the rural areas, too.
I think right now China is in a transformation phase, and it's really difficult to judge where it's going, really. When you go there for a couple of days, 2 weeks, you may think everything is just really perfect. I mean, it's growing economy. If you see Shanghai, everyone seems to make a really good living, and even Beijing, this seems to be the case on the surface. But what's really happening behind the curtain is really difficult to judge.
Ni hao, WILL.
It's not hard to judge where you are when you are atop the Great Wall of China. Sections of the wall, like here at Mutanyu, north of Beijing, have been restored and attract millions of visitors each year.
It's incredible. It's unbelievable. There aren't words. We were just talking how we'll never be able to describe this to someone at home. Even a picture can't do it justice. It's just like living history.
Tourists who visit the wall are greeted by a wall of vendors willing to negotiate a lower price for souvenirs like a t-shirt.
I have bigger size. I have for your size. For your size. Look this one. I have a bigger. Look. I have a bigger. The drag is large. Okay.
Bigger.
Okay, bigger. Look. Bigger.
How much? How much? Use it. How much?
The art of negotiation is something practiced throughout China. China is still under communist rule, but the Illinois students saw few overt signs of communism. Pictures or statues of legendary party chairman Mao are perhaps the most prominent. Occasionally, a military police officer can be seen at Tiananmen Square. But most Chinese seem to live their daily life freer than you might think.
I realized that people there, first of all, don't consider themselves repressed, or to them, the communist way isn't affecting their daily lives as much as I thought it did.
The students also said they were impressed by the Chinese people in general.
They were always very, very willing to talk about their background. In fact, they were anxious for us to know. I actually had a woman say, "Thank you for interviewing me and taking the time to get to know who I am as a Chinese person and not just judge me for who you think I might be."
My impression's greatly changed. It's a very modern place. I mean, the word communism, I think there needs to be some rethinking on the part of what communism, when you hear the communism, the kind of the connotations that go along with that. It's a modern place where cutting-edge technology is happening, but on the countryside, it's a very different world.
The 7,000-mile trip to China even brought signs of home. Here at Tsinghua University in Beijing, the Great Hall was designed to look like the U of I's Follinger Auditorium. The Chinese architect graduated from Illinois. To most Americans, China may seem quite distant, a communist nation mired in its past. But a new China is growing up around the ancient China. And most Chinese like the changes it is bringing.